I don't work well with big companies. I work well with closely held businesses as an employee. And DGC wound up being acquired by PKF O'Connor Davies, which was a very large national firm.
Hello. This is CPA Career Path podcast with Rosey Flaherty, CPA MSA, where we dive into thrilling journeys into the world of accounting.
We talk so much about the pipeline in this profession right now.
Yep.
And to that, I say we need to widen the search to beyond college students, maybe. What if you come across somebody who's maybe an admin, who's just really on it, who's got a great attitude, who thinks critically, you can tell. It's like, can we say to them, hey, you ever been interested in accounting? I know that you're maybe in marketing right now, but have you ever thought about accounting? You might be a good accountant.
That's a really good approach.
If you come across somebody in IT or engineering or architecture or anything, and you're out there, don't assume that they can't restart their career. Don't assume that they may be miserable. They might be miserable where they are. If somebody's complaining about their job and their career, I all the time am saying, try accounting. I had somebody who was a UI UX, user interface, user experience, designing websites, and still he got laid off. And I was like, oh, try accounting. We don't get laid off. It's not true. But once you get your credential, and if you have a passion and you really put yourself into it, it's not a job that generally has a lot of turnover in that sense.
That's true, and the demand is really high now.
The demand is still high.
Yeah.
I had someone working in real estate. He was doing real estate appraisals, and that kept going up and down, up and down. He would have a job, and then he wouldn't. It's like, why don't you try accounting? You've already kind of got a head for numbers if you're appraising real estate. And he did. He went for a master's in accounting. He's not working in the field, but he was open to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, he can be a tax accountant in real estate. That's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
that's right.
So I'm also a real estate agent, but I don't practice real estate that much. But that's something that he already has knowledge in real estate. He understands how it works. And then also now doing tax. Oh my God, it's a great combination.
Yeah.
He has all the connection in real estate appraisal as well.
Yes.
If the client needs anything, it's a win-win.
So we all, as CPAs currently in the profession, have a responsibility to keep our eyes open.
Exactly. That's so true.
I literally, to the point where it's like the people that do coffee in this building, I'm like, God, she's really cool. I wonder if she'd like to be an accountant.
Recruit anyone.
I will recruit anyone, Rosie. Will they all work out? No. 1 in 100 might. But I look for people that have great attitudes, that are cool and funky and interesting. And it's like, you might like this. You get a lot of freedom. I find the work fascinating and interesting because I love puzzles and games and things like that and putting pieces together. And there's just so much freedom and flexibility at almost all firms these days. Not all of them, but you can find, if you can't find the firm that suits you, then maybe you're not looking hard enough. Is that a weird, rude thing to say?
It's true. You have a lot of options out there, especially if you are an accountant and you also have the CPA license.
Oh, yeah.
So your door is wide open for any opportunities that you do not need to be a tax accountant, do not need to be an auditor, advisor. You can do anything with a CPA license. So I went to a college last week. It's BHCC Community College.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw your post about that.
Yeah.
And we work with them as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. And most students in the class, they came back to college after many years.
Yep.
Like not working or working somewhere else, or like doing in like industry and then coming back to get the degree and then want to become a CPA. So that would be the future there.
Yes.
That people may come back to do the first job as accountant at older age.
Yep.
But you know what? What I really like people when they start the career, like new career at the older age, I have to say that they are very brave. Like you are very brave because it's not easy. And also you have to have a very open mind set as well, because you may see a lot of critical judgment saying that, why did you do this? Why did you change your career at this age? People may like to have a stable, like the same job over and over for many, many years. So it's very risky as well. So I have to give you and people to start the career at the older age a lot of credits for doing the turn. That's really brave. And also, I would say that besides being brave, I would say that you have to be also very strong as well, because you have to be strong enough to prove people that, hey, you are wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. At least wrong about that. I was a horrible staff accountant, and I tell some of the stories all of the time that, sometimes it's a wonder that I wasn't hit by managers, but I learned, and I had some great folks that I, again, hitched my wagon to and taught me really well and finally said, this is what you need to be doing to do this job. And it was like, oh, okay. I'm not just on an assembly line. I have to really start thinking critically, larger organizationally, in a sense.
Yeah, one of my coaches, that she just changed her career from being a teacher to being an accountant.
Nice.
And and I was like, wow, you were a teacher for many, many years. You were probably very good with students, with teaching skills, with like training stuff. So I try to recruit her in the training as well at the same time. At the same time, she tried to be like, okay, I want to be an accountant. I want to learn this, but it is brand new to me. And like, it's a lot of learning curve as well. It's not easy.
It's not. 39 years old, never saw a balance sheet in my life. Had no idea what one was. And I got the little pre-reading from the very basic, the first accounting class from graduate school.
Yeah. So you worked at Markham for 3 years and you had a really good time. What made you decide to leave?
I have always, in my entire career, I have always thrived much more at more closely held businesses. And Markham's a large firm and had been. I don't deal well with large companies as an employee. That was sort of proven in some of my past career. I definitely appreciate working for small, closely held businesses. And I was not looking for an opportunity. As you, I'm sure, know, as accountants, we get hit up by recruiters daily.
Daily.
Back then, it wasn't as much because I was only just approaching the senior level. And this is, full disclosure that I'm not perfect, that I am human. I would get these emails, LinkedIn messages from recruiters. And one day I got one and I said, oh, he's cute. I'll talk to him. So I did. And part of what his email said as well was, I don't just try to place people in industry. I also place people in public accounting. And every other person trying to recruit me was trying to get me to go to industry. But I didn't want to go to industry. I wanted to stay in public. So he was the first person in his little spiel said, hey, I'll put you someplace else in public. And the firm that he had in mind was called DGC, DeChico, Gulman and Company. And they were a large regional firm here of about, when I joined, there were about 120 employees. Beautiful. Much better than Markham, which was 1,500, 2,000 at the time. And they were local. And they had a Boston local office. And I went and I interviewed and I loved it. And I had an amazing run there for 7 years. I went from senior to manager in their high net worth group.
Yeah, 7 years. That's a long time for at one place. What did you learn the most during those 7 years?
I'll tell another vulnerable story. Well, I still learned technically, still grew, technically, and how to start running jobs, how to be the responsible person on a job, how to start interacting more with clients, how to, draft emails, how to manage your billing, how to manage your scheduling, how to manage evaluations. Learned all of those skills in my 7 years because that was the prime time for that, your 3rd to 7th or 3rd to 10th year in public. I learned how to say no there. So we'll travel back in time to 2018. And if you think of the spring of 2018, what happened was there was a perfect storm that happened. The first thing that everyone knows about was that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act had been passed and had been effective. And spring of 2018 was the first time that it was hitting us and dealing with it because it was effective for the 2017 tax year. So in spring of 18, we're finally in it. We're finally trying to figure out what QBI is. We're finally figuring out what the effect of the SALT cap is. We're finally seeing in real time what's going on. That's a lot of change. And that was a lot of work. And that was a lot of pressure. The second thing, which probably is not as obvious to your office or your audience, but was obvious a little more in our firm at the time, was our Boston office where I worked had just ballooned. We were hiring. And we were actually out of space for the first time. And we just didn't, so it was full up. And after, I had been there for 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, and the office had always been fairly empty. We had plenty of room, but not the staff for it. And finally, staff wanted to work there, as opposed to the headquarters in Woburn. So now we have an extremely active office. And it was a very open office. And then we come down to the core of this, which nobody knew, but I had been dealing with depression issues, something I have dealt with literally since age 12 or 13. And I had been managing it fine. I've had, depression, sexuality issues, and then alcohol issues. I was a mess until the age of 32. Absolutely on the table. But since the age of 32, I had been taking medication as prescribed. I was not drinking or doing drugs. I was very comfortable with myself and bringing my full self to work. But my medication wasn't doing as good of a job as it had been. I'd been on it for about 10 years, and I said to my doctor, I was like, I don't know if this is doing it anymore. We try something new. And trying something new in February before tax season was not a good idea.
Bad timing.
Yeah, to come down from one antidepressant and move up on another, I, for the first time, experienced the feeling of irritability, and just like everything was bothering me. Every little, I was not well, and it was really attributable to that, to the absolute change in my work environment and the global change in the tax world. So it was the perfect storm that led to me essentially just crying for 2 days straight, just reviewing returns, ticking, tears running down my face in the office. And no place I've ever worked during onboarding tells you what to do if a coworker is crying constantly for 2 days. It's not a skill that anyone really has, and it's not one we should expect people to have sometimes. But if you see someone in pain in the workplace, it's really uncomfortable. How do you approach that? How do you say, time out? And we're talking like April 8th. How do you, as just a coworker, a manager, an associate, you see a manager crying at their desk? It was rough. I was finally, after a couple of days, a partner sort of pulled me off and sent me home for an evening. And again, in retrospect, probably not the smartest thing to do. Might have actually been emergency room time for me. But that lesson that I learned was that self-care and mental health is what this profession needs to be about, and we can't do this anymore. We can't push people past 55 hours a week anymore. We're not built for it. We're human beings, and I don't think contemporary 2025 human beings are meant to work 80 hours a week.
It's not.
Even that dog thinks so. I love that dog is on board with this, Rosie.
I have to agree with you that depression is real, because I am actually expecting now, and the hormones sometimes create a lot of depression, and I cannot. Sometimes I was like, I have no idea how to handle this.
It's a roller coaster.
It is.
Absolute roller coaster.
Yeah.
I, after that, took a lot of time, and I came up with a couple of things that have served me well. for the last 6, 7 years at this point. I still love this profession. It didn't drive me out. How about that? A full-on nervous breakdown in the workplace, and I'm still working in this profession. One is I have clear boundaries of when I will and won't work, and how much I will and won't work. And if that doesn't work for you, then maybe this isn't the place for me.
I like it. How do you
Because
communicate that?
I was able to back it up with evidence, in the sense that my work suffers after 8 o'clock at night. So I'm great to start at 8:30, and I'm great through until about 8 o'clock at night. But then I start getting tired, and then I start getting sloppy, and then I start making mistakes, and then I start getting more and more review points, and then I start getting frustration above me because Keith isn't doing his best work. So you know what? Let's just not overwork him. If your choice is 55 hours of great work or 70 hours of poor work, take the 55 of great. So setting those boundaries and clear defined work hours, that helped me. Maybe that's not everyone's style. A lot of people work when it's good for them. Parents sometimes jump on and off, and that works for them. My personal had to be like, I can't do more than 55 hours a week, and I can't do anything after a 12-hour day, whenever that hits. It's 11 and a half. 8:30 to 8 is the most that I can do in a day. And then I would do that 4 to 5-ish days a week, cut out a little early on Fridays, and not do a full on Saturday. And that's helped me well, because it really just made sense to everyone. Why would we want, 70 hours where 15 or 20 of them are awful when we get 55 amazing ones?
I agree.
The second thing was getting organized. And this is a struggle for all accountants. And it's that I have a lot of email anxiety still to this day. But when the inbox is overflowing, when you have more tasks to do than time allows, I've used an AI tool. I'm not sponsored or a spokesperson, but I've used Motion, which you sometimes see Instagram ads for and stuff. And it's an AI scheduler, and all of my tasks go in there. And when I'm starting to overflow, it says, I don't have room to fit this.
That's so fun, really?
Yes, it doesn't actually say that, but I get an alert. And that's when I say time out. And I work with the people above me. At the manager level, I work a lot with partners and directors who are signers. And I say, I don't have any time left. So what are we going to do? Can any of this work shift to somebody else? Can any of these negotiated deadlines be negotiated? Like, do you really need that tomorrow, or are you not going to look at it till next week? Great piece of advice for anyone new. And I say this to my staff all the time, who I say, I would like this by Thursday morning. And it's Wednesday afternoon, and they say, I can't get to that. And I say, that's fine. I can't get to it either. I'll get to it on Monday. So, one, can work shift laterally? Can I take on something, or can somebody pass the ball? A lot of that happens in season. Two, can these deadlines be renegotiated? We can't renegotiate April 15th, but a lot of times internally, we can renegotiate our deadlines. And then a lot of times, three, can I put in an extra half an hour? Maybe I should I know it's 8 o'clock, and I know I'm pissed off, but God, if I just work till 8:30, this might actually get done tonight. And tomorrow I'll leave at 7:30, and I'll feel great. So that's the Keith Kenez trifold way to manage things. Keep all of your work. If you don't use the AI scheduler, keep it all in a calendar. And then you can screen share that calendar and say, here's living proof. I can't do your work right now. I can't add any more on this week.
I agree with you, Keith, that sometimes time management is really important.
Yeah.
And assignment management is very important as well, because a lot of time we think we can do a lot, but we just have a limited amount of time every day. We still have our life we have to worry about. We have other things outside of work as well. It's just not only work for everything. And so we need to put everything on the table and then put in the consideration, say, hey, do I have enough time to do this or not? Maybe I can seek help. Because if you don't speak up, people don't know that you need help. They still think that you are doing okay. You still think that you can handle it. But some things I know is that when I speak up, people would jump in and help me. Like,
Yep.
hey, I'm tired all the time now with the
Yep.
pregnancy. I cannot finish this one. Can
Yep.
you help me? Or like, I'm supposed to finish reviewing this return this week, but I just need more sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all of these things can almost always be negotiated, and you just do better work because of it.
That's true.
I'm not pushing this off because I don't want to do it. I'm pushing this off because I can't. And if I do it, it may have mistakes. It may not be my best work. And it may start mentally deteriorating me down the road.
Yeah, mental health
Yeah,
is a serious thing that is very important
absolutely.
that you need to take care of as well, not just physical health.
Yeah.
It's funny that I just had another interview on my podcast.
Uh-huh.
We talk about mental health. She's a CPA, but she's also a yoga instructor as well. And she teach about like this CPA career, provide CPA services, advisory services, but at the same time, she also teach yoga, meditation, about work-life balance, like really
Ooh.
teaching about balancing in life. That's something that I feel like with AI jump in right now, we can take advantage of AI and focus on our mental health. That I believe a lot of people think that it's not a big deal at all. That is just in our head. That is just what you think that you can just change it. But sometimes it's not easy to manage.
Yeah. No, we all wear very brave faces a lot of the time, and we all need people to take those masks off sometimes.
Yeah, we want people to be authentic. That's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important. So you work at DGC for 7 years,
Yep.
move up from senior to
To
manager,
manager.
and then
Yep.
you after that you move to work at Loring, Gold Card, and Coolidge Trust
Yes.
LLC for about a year only before you work at
Correct.
AAFCPAs now. Can you walk us through the transition, why you made those transitions?
Easy enough. If you remember back, or if you want to rewind the tape, I don't work well with big companies. I work well with closely held businesses as an employee. And DGC wound up being acquired by PKF O'Connor Davies, which was a very large national firm headquartered out in New York. And I was there about 6 months, and I was not thrilled about the acquisition. And an opportunity to work at the trust company came up. And we already know trusts are kind of my jam. So I knew somebody that worked there from Markham, and I asked her, and she got me in there. It was a very, very different culture from public accounting. And I learned a lot about trusts and trust taxation for the year that I was there. I started there, I believe, in September, August, September. And by May or June, I knew that I didn't want to be there. And that's when I contacted some people I knew here at AAF, and said, hey, can I come on over there?
Do you know someone from my
I
AAFCPAs?
I did. The story of landing where I landed now is, first of all, the head of human resources, human capital over at DGC had moved over to AAF to be the head here. So that was one person that I trusted a lot, and she was here. The next thing was another partner that I knew of was doing the same thing, a partner that I worked with was moving from PKF over to AAF. And then I had been at the Engage AICPA conference, and the very first speaker, I would have to look at the old itinerary, at the old agenda. I don't remember what his name was, but I don't really even remember what he talked about. But after that first hour of the very first session at AICPA Engage, I said, I got to get back into public. I am wasting away at this trust company, and I thrive off of the energy and the work and the camaraderie here. And also during that conference, one of the speakers was Carla McCall. So she is the managing partner of AAFCPAs. So I was able to find her very serendipitous that day. One of the things I like about that conference is I know other people that go there. and I was hanging out with some women, and they said, we're going to go to this, panel of women in accounting. And I said, I was going to go do something about trust, but you sound much more interesting. I'll go with you. So I was one of like 3 men in the room, but that's fine. And lo and behold, I had said hours earlier, I'd really like to find Carla McCall at some point during the conference and introduce myself to her. And who was speaking at this little panel discussion but Carla. So I was able to introduce myself to her, and through all of that I then started a longish interview process off and on over the summer because things move slow in the summer. And when I landed here, it was like slipping back into a pair of old shoes. This was just exactly the culture that I thrive in.
That's awesome. AAFCPA Engage is the best.
It is. I don't understand people that don't think a conference is fun.
Oh, it's fun. I love conference.
But I think most people hate the idea of it. And I'll tell you, I kind of didn't like them at first either, but I'm almost addicted now. I really, really like it. And that's my favorite one. And when I came on here, I said, by the way, thank you for the offer letter. I accept everything, but I want to make sure of one thing. I'm going to go to AAFCPA Engage every year, whether you send me or not. So can I just make sure that you will send me? Because I think it'll be really weird if I just show up there on my own.
That's so funny.
Because I've loved that conference. I love that it takes place in Las Vegas. I stay for days afterwards, and it's just really energizes and gets me going.
Yeah. I met a lot of amazing people there. Too bad I couldn't go this year. Well, my deal would be big, so I couldn't travel.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
we'll have fun in 2 years.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, who knows?
Absolutely.
But I love AAFCPA Engage. Yeah. So many things that you can learn because they have so many sections. Oh my God! I literally had to do my homework before that. I had to check which section I can go or I want to go. So much.
In 2006, I went to Coachella, and I had to decide what stages I wanted to be on where. And here we are now in 2025, where it's the same feeling. Where back then it's but I want to see both Mogwai and Massive Attack, and they're playing at the same time. Here it's but I want to see both of these sessions, and they're at the same time.
I know. It's amazing. I love AAFCPA Engage. We talked so much about your career, and I really like your stories. And you know what? You are such a great storyteller. I give you a lot of credit for that.
Let's rewind the tape. It's back to that theater degree.
Yeah, that helped.
Absolutely. I said that helps me because I will just sort of stand up and babble about anything.
I can listen to you all day. You're so good at telling story, and then your story are fascinating.
Thank you.
You're very good at directing me and the audience from one point to the next point to the next point. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Well,
That's awesome. Yeah, and
thank you very much.
Before we wrap up your CPA journey, we understand a lot about your life story as well at the beginning of the journey. But now, we're just curious, me and my audience, what do you do for fun now?
That shouldn't be the hard question it is, but I will go ahead and answer it. It just turns out to be so nerdy, is what it is. So for most of the time, what I do for fun is I love playing board games. And I like the complicated European ones. The ones with rule books where people are am I playing a game or doing taxes?
Oh my God.
And there's a website, and I'll do a little shout out here. It's a website called boardgamearena.com, and you can play by turn. So what that means is you just jump on when you have a moment and see if it's your turn. Back before I was born, people used to play chess by mail with their pen pals. You'd mail your move, and you'd each have a board, and you'd make the move, and people would mail them back and forth. So that's basically what this is, only with Settlers of Catan and Ark Nova and Terraforming Mars. So I always have that tab open during the day. Even at the height of tax season, I have a tab open, and I'm always making a move in Carcassonne. I'm making a move in it, check-in every 30, 45 minutes as a nice little break. It's like, oh, have any games come up where it's time for me to make my move? So you can find me there. My username is section59E2.
That would be funny if someone actually go and find you.
And you can hit me up for a complicated European board game or just a game of cribbage. Because it goes the whole gamut. They have hearts. They have Uno, that simple games or insanely complicated games where the rule book are like a tax form instruction. That's year round I do that. I like the PlayStation a little bit. I've fallen off with that. I used to play Diablo 4 a lot. And I'm not... I worked in corporate travel for almost 10 years. I made next to no money, but I had free airline tickets. But you know what? I don't like to travel that much. So for me, honestly, when I travel, I just kind of go to Las Vegas. I just got back 2 days ago. I spent 4 days there, drove around the desert, walked around, probably did like God knows how many steps, and, did some gambling, which is the ultimate game.
Do you like to play chess?
No, I'm not good at chess at all.
Oh,
which
I
is
love
interesting.
chess.
The reason why is my younger brother, who I could beat in any game at all, that was the one game he could always beat me at, was chess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My husband and I, we used to play chess. He doesn't like to play chess with me anymore because he couldn't beat me. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Hit me up there for a game of chess if you would like.
Why not? Maybe sometimes one day maybe we can just play chess in person.
True.
Yeah, why not? That would be fun. But thank you so much for the interview today, sharing about the journey, also like not just about your career journey. I feel like you also share about your life journey as well. And I hope the
Absolutely.
audience will learn a lot. Before we
All
close
intertwined.
this interview, I was wondering if you can have any last tips and advice to our audience.
For the younger audience, if you don't know what you want to do right now, that's okay. It took me a long, long time to find my passion. And to a more experienced professional audience, keep yourself healthy mentally, however you need to be able to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Keith, and hope to see you in another podcast to share about the next level in your career.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, are we heading out completely now?